I'm jumping to center right now. Stop that noise, I'm putting down my toys so I can hear my heart somehow. I can do it, I know I can be happy as a friar. I'm opening up to the power now, fully relying on God. Hop to it, I'm jumping in, I'm swimming in an ocean of love. I got a body that's made of light, and it fits just like a glove. I'm moving through life in my own way, I'm not sitting like a bump on a log. I'm opening up to the power now, fully relying on God. I look around me on this beautiful day, there'll never be another one just like it. I think it's time to go out and play, instead of watching people fussing and fighting, yeah. Look around me on this beautiful day, there'll never be another one just like it. I think it's time to go out and play, instead of watching people fussing and fighting. Hop to it, here we go, we're jumping to center right now. Let's get together and make that leap, we can start right here, right now. We can do it, I know we can be happy as a friar. We're opening up to the power now, fully relying on God. We're opening up to the power now, fully relying on God. Hop to it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, wonderful musicians. Thanks so much. It's the best. That's our band, you bet. So welcome everyone. I'm Reverend Kay Johnson, and I want to welcome you to Wednesday Night Live. And we're going to have a lovely evening this evening. You're going to love it. Let's start, though, by centering ourselves. I want to read something from Ernest Holmes that I chose just for tonight. Calmly, joyfully, peacefully, I place myself in the hands of divine guidance, knowing I shall be stimulated to think intelligently, to choose wisely, and to act with precision. I rest in complete assurance that all is well with my soul, that all is well with the soul of everyone I contact, because God, the living Spirit, is over all, in all, and through all. And so it is. So I wanted to just share something with you about coming back to church a few weeks ago when Terry and I finally made it back together. And it was an experience that surprised me so much. I was excited, of course, but there was an experience of energy in this room on that Sunday that I can hardly express. He and I actually ended up practically a little bit giddy, and it was just, we were encased, we were moved into an energy of joy, partly because everybody who was there was so joyful, but also because this room has the energy of everything that's ever happened in here, all the ceremonies, all the services, and when you walk into that, it is different. It is different here. It's beautiful. And this is one of the things that I'm so grateful for, is how the church has so magnificently prepared us as soon as this COVID craziness started to create church in a way that people could still participate. And so this is particularly important to me because of the healing ministry that Reverend Linda and I do, because a lot of people are sick. They have a diagnosis. They can't come to church. They can't drive, or they're homebound. And it also reached, of course, so many other people who live in South Carolina or Germany or Indonesia. And that was just such a thrill for me that this happened so quickly, and we moved it so that we could stay connected, so people could still feel like they belonged. But maybe I'm talking to the people online right now. If you aren't one of those people, I hope you'll give yourself the gift of coming back to church. It is an experience that I guarantee you will lift you, will surround you with joy and with love. So tonight, Reverend Michelle, Dr. Reverend Michelle, whatever, is going to be talking, I know, I'll figure it out later, is going to be talking tonight about the fact that we are pre-approved. Now, this is really good news for us, because that means we don't have to fill out any forms. We don't have to list all our medications, and we don't have to show our ID, because we are already standing in the light. So welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. So glad if you're online. So glad if you're here smiling at me. Thank you for being here. And now the band is going to take us there.
Thank you, Kay. So we're going to start with one of my favorite songs of all time, and it's a great honor to play it here with the Mile High All-Stars. This is a song called The Way It Is. They can't buy a job. The man in a silk suit hurries by and catches the poor old lady's eye. Just for fun, he says, get a job. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. That's just the way it is. Ah, but don't you believe them? Said, hey little boy, you can't go where the others go, 'cause you don't look like they do. Said, hey old man, how can you stand to think that way? Did you really think about it before you made the rules? He said, son, that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. That's just the way it is. Ah, but don't you believe them? got a little more, but it only goes so far. 'Cause the law don't change another's mind when all it sees at the hiring time is a line on the color bar. No, that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Rob Lowe on the piano there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Barry and Rob and Stu and Michael and cute little Susan. I'm so glad to see you. Oh, that was awesome. Wow. Wow. Let's just take the offering and go home. How about that? No, wait a minute. That was a beautiful rendition of that song. Just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And as Reverend Kay said, I'm here today to talk about a message that is titled, You Are Preapproved. A number of years ago, I was attending the Association for Global New Thought conference in Palm Springs. And one of the keynote speakers that I was looking forward to was Iyanla Vanzant. And when Iyanla got there to speak, she was introduced, and she wasn't on the stage, but she was introduced, and this music started playing, really rip-roaring, exciting, wonderful music. And all of a sudden, I look back, and down the main aisle, here comes Iyanla, and she's dancing down the aisle and having a good time and greeting people and having a wonderful time. And, come to think of it, maybe we should change the way ministers enter church. Don't you think that sounds like a little bit more fun? I may try that some Sunday, because that was a blast. It was a blast to watch her do it, and it was a blast to watch her come up on the stage, and there was so much energy, and she's so beautiful and so dynamic. And so she got up on the stage, and she immediately talked about how she had driven to Palm Springs from LA that day to give this talk, and when she left, she didn't know what she was going to talk about. Well, I thought that was pretty bold. I mean, we ministers here, we plan our talks like weeks in advance, but she showed up and didn't know what she was going to talk about as she drove away from her home. And so she did a little prayer that she would be guided to work on her talk and get clear about it as she was driving to the conference. And she said as she was driving to the conference, she was just allowing herself to remain open, and she looked up at a billboard, and it had one of those ads for a loan on it, and it said, "You're pre-approved." And she said, that's it. That's my topic right there. And so she came in, and that night she gave a very witty and profound and humorous message, and I loved it tremendously. And I'm not going to give Iyanla's talk, because only Iyanla can do Iyanla. I'm going to give Michelle's version of Your Preapproved tonight, because I didn't take the talk. I didn't take anything from the talk, even though it was brilliant. I took the title and have contemplated it quite frequently over the years. And it's such an ingenious topic. And as Reverend Kay was playing with it, I'm going to play a little bit with it today too, because of course those messages of Your Preapproved comes on billboards, and there was a time back before there were some laws passed about lending practices that many of us probably got lots of letters in the mail. Maybe you still get some even today. It may not be about loans. It might be about memberships, or a lot of us get the You're Preapproved to AARP, right? To be pre-approved for that, you just have to be a certain age. But we get these letters occasionally that say we're pre-approved, and they may be rather rote. We might toss them aside and put them away and kind of not pay that much attention to them. But the concept itself seems to be a very important spiritual concept. A truth about every human being on the planet, even you, even me. And that is that we are pre-approved. A lot of our angst in our life has to do with approval-seeking issues that we have wanted people to approve of us, or we've wanted systems to approve of us, or society to approve of us, or our church to approve of us, or someone that we care about or that we respect to approve of us. And in the face of not feeling that approval, the angst that comes forward can be the kind of angst that goes with us through our lifetime and creates a rift in between the true nature of our being and can create a perception of a rift between us and our God. But here in the Science of Mind and Spirit, we believe that we can say to ourselves loudly, boldly, and clearly, I am pre-approved, and believe and live from the space that acknowledges that which created us, that placed us here on this earth and created the forms and the fashions by which we show up here, has pre-approved us before we were born, approves us every single day of our lives. And if we can allow ourselves to embrace that and accept that, claim that, own that, live that more powerfully, we can then allow that perceived rift to be eradicated from our awareness and from our experience. Just think about it for a moment. Think about those words. If those words resonated through our soul and through our mind, and through our tender heart, those words that we could claim and own, I'm pre-approved. I'm pre-approved. What that means to me is that I don't have to do anything to get the approval of the divine. Now, this can be challenging to some of the concepts we grew up with, because I know that I grew up in a household where it was very clear that approval of the adults in the household was important. I grew up in different spirituality when I was a small child than this, that claimed that I needed to do certain things and behave in certain ways in order to get God's approval, right? And that if I did that, I was golden, not only for this life, but for the next life. And so those systems can go with us throughout our life. And then we go into school, and school is often all about being approved by being smart or getting grades or doing what teachers want us to do. And then as we grow up, we want to fall in love and we want to be in relationships. And so a lot of love relationships is not necessarily let me present to you my authentic self so that you might fall in love with that, but rather let me present to you a version of myself that you might approve of so that I can get love. And then we are looking for jobs, and so we want to put our best foot forward and impress people so that we can get approval and have a good job. I mean, think about how much of our daily living and the things that we humans deem to be important to us are predicated upon our sense of being approved of. And we sometimes want to just eradicate all that and say, well, your approval is not necessary. We get kind of rebellious about it at certain times, especially with our parents. I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to do this. And that's fine. That's a phase that we all have gone through at different times. But there's a center about this that I'm inviting us into right now, and that's the center of the divine nature of us. The ability to, in some ways, push past all of that human fodder and sense into the voice of the divine. This is a huge part of what we do and teach here at Mile High Church. Practices and ways for human beings to allow themselves to center into that place within them that can hear the voice of the divine that claims that we are pre-approved, that we are loved just as we are, that we are acceptable just as we are, That for the rest of our days, we wouldn't have to change a single thing about ourselves, and the God that exists in this universe would be delighted in our presence. Delighted about who we are. Delighted about what we've become and how we've evolved. And that's so foreign to us. I can see the little thought bubbles going on with some of you in the room right now, like, well, that's impossible. That's just not possible. Of course, God wants me to give up that bad habit, or God wants me to be a better person, or God wants me to be more kind, or God wants me to be fully expressed. And of course, the divine life wants us to express ourselves in the fullest means possible. But the degree to which we succeed or don't succeed in doing that does nothing to the approval of the divine. All of that, believe it or not, from a spiritual standpoint, is icing on your spiritual cake. It has nothing to do with the cake. And when human beings surrender and begin to be content with and present to the cake, they begin to feel this sense of connectedness and centeredness. And so as we begin to concentrate on that, what we have to do in order to claim that is to consciously begin to accept on a more regular basis and resonate with and ring true through our whole body, temple, and our mind this notion, what if all that I think I'm doing to get approval from other people, I set aside for 5 minutes right now and just feel the divine approval of life itself. And as Reverend Kay said, that approval comes with no hoops, no strings, don't have to sign any papers, don't have to make any payments, don't have to do anything but be, in order for this divine life to completely approve of us. We just have to accept it. So our work, though, because we've been so trained, if you will, to do otherwise, is to retrain ourselves in the direction of this pre-approval. So consciously accept it and let go of some of those myths. Consciously accept it and contemplate a God that accepts us. Consciously accept it and understand that, yes, the reality of life is that for each one of us, as we live our life, there will be times when other human beings do not approve of us. They don't approve of what we're doing, of what we're saying, or how we're doing it, or how we're saying it. But we are understanding that that's just part of the human interaction that occurs. And we allow ourselves to be more attuned to that sense of divine approval within us so that we can be guided to stay on our path, to consciously be aware of our journey that is our journey uniquely. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says to us, when the universal mind flows through the individual, it comes to the surface of the conscious mind as an actual experience. Truth comes from the inner to the outer self, from God, the universal spirit, to God, the manifest person. For every person is a direct manifestation of God. And this is a huge part of what it takes to have that sense of pre-approval. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, used to call it spiritual self-esteem. The willingness to see that what he's saying right here, that every person is a direct manifestation of God, that means us. That we have to take our place in the kingdom of heaven as not some worm of the dust or some mere human being, but rather we take our place on this planet as a significant, unique expression of the divine. And we allow ourselves to walk it through our life in ways where we consciously accept this about ourselves. We consciously claim this about ourselves. In the now moment, every chance we get, consciously accepting this truth. And I suspect that if we're hearing this message and we've lived any number of years on our life, we may have experiences from our past that don't quite jive with that sense of being approved. So the second part is that we have to let go of the times in our life we felt this wasn't true. I remember years ago with regards to these kind of offers in the mail that would come, or sales pitches that would come that would tell me I was pre-approved. I would eagerly, as a young woman, go out to go get that loan or go buy that car or whatever. And I would get there and I would bring my little pre-approval notice and they would take it, and I would fill out all the paperwork and give them all my information. And then they would have the audacity to come back to me and say, well, actually, you're not pre-approved. You're rejected. And that to me is akin to times we've possibly reached out and felt pre-approved by a lover or a spouse or partner, or in a work environment, or in our family, or in some place where we reached out and we felt like we were pre-approved, and so we went for it, and then something happened and we were rejected, or we were betrayed, or we were told we weren't good enough, or we were told, oh, never mind, actually, I've changed my mind about you. And those moments, as a human being, they hurt. They sting. They are challenging for us to accept. But what can happen in that moment is that we then redefine ourselves as that rejection, that rejected person, and go forward with that kind of rejected feeling as part of our spiritual self-esteem. And then that goes with us and becomes part of what we continue to attract to ourselves. So in a way, when we are willing to go back into our life, into the past, and say, where are the places where I felt duped like that? Where I fell in love, I thought that I was pre-approved, I went for it, I stepped into the relationship, and then, after a short time or after a long time, suddenly I'm no longer approved of, and I'm rejected and I'm betrayed. And that pain, that sting, has then defined a huge part of my living from that moment on. And that requires us to be able to look back at our past through the eyes of this now moment, and be able to say to that younger version of ourselves, that previous version of ourselves, whisper to the past, you're pre-approved. It requires of us to be willing to look at that past and even be forgiving of those people, and understand that they were like one of those companies that they didn't maybe tell us all the whole story, or they didn't see the whole picture, and that human beings have done this and had this experience over the years. Each one of us, I'm sure, has had a moment of rejection or betrayal from our past, but that we choose to be transcendent and move beyond it, and to stand firmly in the truth of who we are. I remember one profound moment early on in my ministry. I had been at the Huntington Beach Church for 4 years, and almost 4 years, and I had felt that urge, that call, that it was time for me to go out and become a lead minister someplace. And so I interviewed at a number of churches. I went and looked at the list of churches we had, and I approached a church in Northern California. And I was dating a man at the time who lived in that area, and I thought, well, this is perfect. This is a really lovely church in Northern California. He lives in Northern California. That sounds great. And I talked to a minister who had grown up in that church. And she told me all about the church. And I said to her, now, why aren't you applying for the job? And she said, I just don't feel like this is my church. But I think you should go for it. So I went through the lengthy process we have of going out for a weekend. They accepted me. I did all the work to be interviewed, and I did a workshop, and I did a talk, and I met with the board, and I did everything, and it felt awesome. It was wonderful. It was very high energy, and I left thinking, I think I found my church. And a couple weeks later, we had our annual conference for our entire organization in California, and they said, the board called me and said they wanted to meet me at that conference to talk to me about their church. And so I went with the full anticipation, I'm getting this job. I can just feel it, I'm getting this job. And they sat me down and they told me, no, you're not getting the job. Not only are you not getting the job, part of the reason you're not getting the job is that other minister decided actually she did want that church after all. And because the people were so familiar with her, they decided to hire her. Well, it stung. It really stung. And I remember at the conference, they had this room with a big labyrinth, just like the labyrinth that we've built out on our grass out here. And I left the meeting, and they were very gracious, and I was kind of emotional. I cried a little bit, to tell you the truth. I was really sad. I was surprised. I was shocked. But I went and I put my things down in the room, and I remember I went to the labyrinth and I started just walking the labyrinth. It's this meditation walk, and I'm walking the labyrinth. And what's wonderful about the labyrinth, many of the different shapes and forms, the geometric forms of the labyrinth, is that there are times as you're walking the labyrinth where it feels like you're getting close to the center, and then suddenly you're way out on the edge, and then you're getting close to the center. And the task is to keep walking, no matter what it looks like, knowing you're going to get to the center. And it was extremely significant for me because as I walked that labyrinth, that inner voice in me said to me something that has stuck with me. You have a ministry to express in this world. You have work to do in this world. So what if it's not with them? That's okay. Celebrate and be happy that they found their minister. Now you just need to go find your church. That wasn't your church. So let it go. And by the time I was done walking the labyrinth, my sense of rejection was gone. My sense of pain was even gone. My sense of hope and possibility and anchoredness in I am a religious science minister, and I have work to do in the world, and I need to get about finding my church, was so present. And looking back now, it was perfect. That minister went and served that church beautifully and magnificently for many years. I went just a few months, short months later, and interviewed at the job for the church in Scottsdale, Arizona, and got there and was very happy there for 17 years. It all worked out perfectly. You know how they say hindsight is 20/20? Well, what if foresight is 20/20? What if my sight right now about myself is 20/20? Now, I know 2020 wasn't the best year we ever had. I get it. But from the standpoint of eyeglasses, perfect vision, we can, if we choose, continue to feel that sense that I still have within me. I am a religious science minister, and I have a ministry to express in this world, and I'm sure that I'm here to do it. And I know that I'm pre-approved to do it. That's what I'm here to do. And I know that every one of us is pre-approved to live our lives fully, to be loved and revered and accepted, to celebrate and do work that we love and express ourselves in this universe. That every one of us is pre-approved to have joy and laughter and wholeness. That every one of us is pre-approved of that. And the only thing that stands between you and me and the experience of that is our thoughts, emotions, and feelings about that. So this week, I'm challenging us to consider ourselves pre-approved by the universe, by God, by life itself, and to consciously accept this every day that we can, and to be willing to let go of our past that wants to shout at us and tell us that we're not pre-approved. Let that go. I have an affirmation that I'd like to close with tonight that I offer you. I can't honestly remember where I found it. I believe I found it in the works of our founder, Ernest Holmes. But I wrote it out and I put it on my desk here at work. And I see it every day that I'm here. And I speak it aloud when I'm here and when I'm not. And it says, God in me approves of me. God in me approves of me. So I invite you right now just to take a deep breath and to feel that sense of that truth and to be willing to have reverberating throughout your whole being these words, God in me approves of me. You are pre-approved. I am a witness, and so it is. And so now I invite our band to come back up, our wonderful band to support us in more amazing music. Take it away, Dr. Barry.
Good work there, Doctor. How you folks feeling? Everybody good? Yeah, all right. Well, it's great to be here. We're going to do, we're going to do a song we haven't done in a while. This is a song called On the High Road. And I think that's what Dr. Michelle was talking about. We didn't have to wait to get on there. Sometimes when I am dreaming of a place I know we've been, I wonder if we'll ever find our way back home, my friend. There's peace a word we talk about, but violence our way. It keeps us shackled to this wheel, it keeps our hearts at bay. But there are those who came before us, who saw a path that few could see, who gave their lives in love surrender for fools like you and me. I've seen their footprints by the river, where they stopped and heard the call, immersed themselves in the one great spirit that creates their fear, and then walked on the high road. You can feel their power on the high road. We are not alone. The compass lies within our hearts to mark our traverse through the dark. The circumstances change, but love is still the same. Gandhi spun his simple clothes, and Martin spoke of right. They walked the mighty governments beyond their will to fight. I know they sensed the danger, they surely knew the cost. Their voices were not silenced, their love is never lost. I've seen their footprints by the river, where they stopped and heard the call, immerse themselves in the one great spirit. They faced their fear and then walked on the high road. You can feel their power on the high road. We are not alone. The compass lies within our hearts to mark our traverse through the dark. The circumstances change, but love is still the same. On the high road, on the high road, on the high road, on the high road, on the high road.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Barry. Awesome. Beautiful original tune, right? Yeah. He's so talented, isn't he? Yeah. You can applaud that for sure. So talented. Well, we are so grateful for your presence here, as we've said tonight, and we know that many of you have continued to be so supportive and generous of this ministry, and we thank you so much for that. And this is a moment where we invite you back into that generosity. If you are watching online, you're welcome to, if you're watching online or if you're right in this room, I know Ken's got his phone out, he's about to text to give right now. You can text to give right now by dialing 45888. You can go to our website at milehighchurch.org and make a contribution. You can mail a check. And if you are here in the sanctuary this evening and you'd like to leave a gift, you can do so in one of the bins out in the lobby out there. And we're so grateful for the way that good just flows into this ministry and supports and uplifts us. So thank you very much for that. As we do prepare to give, I invite you to say an affirmation with me. So take a deep breath and let's say, this gift I give is God in action. I give it in love and joy. I know my abundant nature, so I give with gratitude. Thank you, life. And so it is.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you got a friend. Yeah, you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got your troubles, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We'll stick together and we'll see it through. 'Cause you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, big and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me.
How wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being our friends. Yep, you got friends here for sure. So let's just take a moment and create a prayer that is for you before we leave tonight. So close your eyes and bring to mind, if you would, maybe a person in your life. And it may be you, but it might be somebody else that is having a challenge or needing something. Maybe they're ill, or maybe you've had some words that you wish hadn't happened. And just say that person's name out loud if you'd like, or just to yourself. And then let's encircle that person and you in the love and the light of the divine. Just like Dr. Michelle said, both of you, no matter what has happened, are pre-approved. And the divine light of God is right where each of you are, healing, helping, believing. And now let's move to something that maybe feels stressful to you right now. Some stress in your life. And also name that in your mind. When we name it, we actually move it away from us just a little tiny bit. So whatever that stressful situation is, something you need, some disappointment, some opportunity you're looking for, some abundance you're wishing would come your way. Again, let's just turn that over to the divine. Turn that over to that divine mind, to that endless possibilities. There is a solution. There is a way forward. And we affirm that now. No, we are on the path. It is us. We are there. And so for all of this, we are so very grateful. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for being with us in every moment. Thank you for our pre-approval. And so it is. So I have a couple of things to share with you tonight. First of all, next Wednesday, I'm actually going to be back, and so is Barry going to be back. Yay, we love that. And I'll be giving the message, so I hope you'll maybe join us and share that. I'm excited and looking forward to it. If you have another prayer request or you want to extend the one that we just talked about, you can do that by going on milehighchurch.org/prayer and put in the prayer request, and our beautiful practitioners will be bringing their energy to your prayer. In addition, next Sunday, Dr. Roger's is going to be here, so I hope you'll be attending. That'll be great. And also, on Saturday of this week, something really special is happening in this room. Reverend Zamira is going to be doing a sound healing workshop from 10 to 12. Love offering. I'm going to be here. I hope you will be too. So we are ready to move along and release it all. So thank you. Bye-bye.